If you have a product or service, but you haven't figured out how to fill your pipeline with qualified leads at scale, you do not have a scalable acquisition system. So what you're going to need to do is put together a go-to-market strategy. So listen guys, referrals and network are great, but in order to scale, you need to be generating sales opportunities consistently with an acquisition system, or you're never going to be able to grow consistently and predictably. That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. The 5 steps to creating a go-to-market strategy for any B2B product or service business. Now, the strategy that I'm going to be sharing with you in this video is going to allow you to generate sales opportunities in the most capital efficient way without having to hire any SDRs or account executives and waste time training them and ramping them up, without spending any money on paid media and paid advertising, and without having to record yourself and make content on social media. Let's get right into it. All right, guys. So here it is, the go-to-market strategy, the go-to-market plan, the 5 steps to creating a go-to-market plan. Okay. So getting right into it, the first thing that we need to do, the first step of this is going to be doing your persona research. All right. Now, before doing anything, we need the answers to these questions. All right. Number 1 is, who are we helping? Okay. Who are we serving? What does our product help? Like, who are we helping? Right. And then number 2 is, what are we helping them? What are we helping them with? Right. So who are we helping? And then what are we helping them with? So this is the foundational element of any GTM strategy, any go-to-market strategy. Because if you don't know this, we'll never be able to craft any sort of messaging that resonates with our target market, right? And that's our goal here. So that's going to be the first step, is doing our persona research. Now, how do we do this? Number 1 is you can use the AI method. So you can literally go on ChatGPT. By prompting it properly, you can ask it questions about the pain points of your target market, and then you can use your product knowledge to figure out what your product helps that market with, right? That's a way to do it. I would recommend starting. I think that's a good starting point, just to get a little bit of a specific understanding and to have that foundational understanding of what your persona is. But if you really want the best feedback from the market and you really want to get the best answers, you're going to want to do number 2, which is the customer interview method. Okay. So with the customer interview method, we need to figure out why your customers became customers, and then look for patterns based on what situations they were in, right? So what you want to do is you want to go through your past customers, your current customers, right? You want to figure out, like, what is their job title? What is their persona, right? What is their current situation? What is their desired situation? And was your product like the bridge between their current situation and the desired situation? Like, why did they go with you? Why did they work with you? That sort of thing. Right. So that is going to be the most powerful way to do market research, is talking to people who were already customers of yours, right? Or talk to people who you think could be your customers, right? And offering them a gift card, or offering them, something in exchange for hopping on a call with them, right? That's going to be a really powerful way to, really narrow down your ICP and your persona. Okay. Now, after that is created, you're going to have to figure out, what are you helping people with, right? Now you know who you help, right? After doing that first step, and now you have to figure out who you're what you're helping those people with, right? So that's what we're going to map out here. So the way that you map that out is by using what I like to call the I help statement. The I help statement is literally just this: I help persona solve problem using mechanism, so you, and then desired situation, right? You want to write it out like that. So here's an example below. Let's say that I am a fintech B2B SaaS company that helps helps Fortune 500 banks increase their conversion rate with SMBs, right? That's what I'm writing this I help statement based on. So I help VP of SMB sales at Fortune 500 banks solve the low conversion rates that your sales reps have with SMBs due to a lack of intent and knowledge on specific businesses' situation, using intent data that shows signals of when an SMB would be looking for capital injection, so you could reach out when an SMB is high intent, which will increase your overall conversions. Guys, I know that was a lot, but if you read through that, it actually makes sense, right? So I help, and then persona is VP of SMB at Fortune 500 banks, right? I'll bold that, okay? And then what did I help them do? They solve problems. What's the problem? the low conversion rates that your sales reps have with SMBs due to a lack of intent and knowledge on specific businesses' situation, right? On each specific, so that's the problem, right? They have low conversion rates with SMBs because they don't have the intent and they don't have the knowledge on each specific business's situation, right? That's the problem. And what's the mechanism that you use to solve that? Using intent data that shows signals of when an SMB would be looking for capital injection, right? That's like the mechanism. And then so you can reach out when an SMB is high intent, which will increase your overall conversions, and that's the desired situation, right? So that's literally mapped out the I help statement. So do that for your product or your service as well. And again, guys, it doesn't need to be super concise right now. It just needs to fully encapsulate what you do and the problem that you solve, who you solve it for. Okay, so do that. Now, guys, here's what most people do wrong when it comes to doing any outreach or trying to generate any conversations, sales opportunities with potential customers. The struggle usually comes down to two things. You're targeting the wrong people, or you're targeting the right people with the wrong message, right? So that's why what we need to do is we need to focus on one persona and one problem, right? Like I did above here, right? I didn't go general, right? There's no need here to spread ourselves too thin by going too broad or going too general, okay? So after we do that, we're going to do something called offer creation. Okay, so here's where we actually have to start crafting market-ready messaging, right? So that means that it's something that we can put in our marketing material that potential customers are going to see. So it can't just be super wordy like this, right? It has to be something concise, or it has to be something that actually resonates with our prospects and more copywriting, right? So in order to do that, we have to have a killer offer, right? Now, what is an offer? Simply put, an offer is what the prospect is going to receive. What are they going to get? Okay. Now, the best way to create an offer is to figure out a way to provide specific value and information to your target persona that actually helps them with their current job in some way, and it's in line with what your product or service does. Right. So, for example, if you're a paid ads marketing agency that helps SaaS companies scale with ads, you can offer free services up front or like a value doc on your exact paid ad strategy that helped a specific company generate like 10 million in sales within 1 year, right? Something like that, right? Something valuable, some upfront work, right? Now, if you're like a SaaS company, or like specifically like a B2B fintech SaaS company, like the one I mentioned above, who, like, for example, they have the SMB intent data, right? You can simply just offer 10 high intent SMBs that are showing signs of needing capital, right? That's what that company would do, right? So you would basically create a way to give value to the persona that you're targeting, to help them do the job that they have to do, that your software or your product actually helps, right? So in this example, we're helping VPs of SMB sales at Fortune 500 banks, right, increase their conversion rates with SMBs, right, with our intent data. So what's the offer? We can literally just give them 10 pieces of intent data, showing them goodwill, showing them, hey, this is an example of our intent data and it works, right? And then they're going to get value out of that, and then they're going to want to buy your product. They're going to get into your ecosystem, right? This gets your prospects into your ecosystem because you're providing them with value, right? It gets them to say yes, and it opens up the conversation, which allows you to pitch them once you provide that value, okay? Now, number 4. After we have all that created, now we have to do outbound, right? Outbound is the best way to find MMF. Okay, now MMF is just message market fit. Message market fit is when your message resonates with the wants and needs of your persona, right? And the way that you know that you've achieved this is when your pipeline starts flooding when you use specific messaging, when you're doing specific outreach, when you have a specific I help statement, and then you create a specific offer based on that I help statement, and it's booking you guys calls, it's closing deals, it's closing accounts, it's generating revenue. Right? Now, reasons why outbound is the best is because, number 1, it's very capital efficient, it's very low cost. Number 2 is it's very scalable, because you can send millions of emails a month safely with the right infrastructure. And if you want to know the right infrastructure, you could watch other videos that I go over that stuff, right? And number three is there's very fast feedback loops, right? Because you can figure out what works and what doesn't work very quickly with Outbound, right? And again, make sure your outbound system is solid because deliverability is a big problem right now. So you guys, if you want help with that, you could check out my other videos if you need help with that, okay? Now, we've been able to drive tens of millions in pipeline for clients using Outbound, right? Especially for early stage startups who are looking to scale consistently and predictably. Okay, Outbound is still king for those types of companies, for any B2B companies, okay? Now, number five. Okay. Now, how do we actually structure these outbound campaigns? What are the KPIs that we want to hit? And what is the next step? So after you have these outbound campaigns created, you have your value prop, right? You have your offer, you have your persona, you have all of these things. So before we get into that, let's actually go through everything, right? So number one, your persona research, right? Who are we helping and what are we helping them with? Right? You have to figure out who your persona is, okay? And then number two is your I help statement, which is like your value proposition. What are you actually doing for that persona and what part of your product or service is actually helping them, right? And in what way does it help them, okay? And then number three is creating an offer based on that. So what value or what front end offer or what is something you could put in your messaging that is going to allow people to say yes and come into your ecosystem, right? That's number three. And then number four is using the outbound as the most capital efficient way to get feedback from your market and find message market fit. Message market fit is when your message resonates with the wants and needs of your target persona. And the way that we know that you've achieved that is if your pipeline is flooded with the prospects and you're generating revenue from those campaigns, okay? Now, number five is how do you actually create those campaigns, right? What is the KPIs that you want to be hitting with outbound, right? So the way that we do this at our agency for our clients and for ourselves is we create different combinations of variables. And those variables are the persona, which is your target market, your offer, right? What you're offering, and then your CTA, which is like basically you have two different types of CTAs. One is a hard CTA, which is like booking a call. It's like, hey, do you have 15 minutes to talk next week or open to talking about this? And then you have a softer CTA, which is like, hey, is it okay if I send over more info? Do you want to see a video about this, et cetera, et cetera? So we want to create different combinations of those variables, and we want to wait until we find something that has like a 0.3% booking rate. And if it does, then we scale that campaign and we add all the leads into that campaign. But if not, we just continue to create new combinations of these variables until we do. So these are some KPIs that we want to hit. So for overall reply rate, we want to hit a 3 to 5% reply rate. That includes negative responses and positive responses. So we just want to make sure that our deliverability is actually good. And the way that we do that is if we get a 3 to 5% reply rate. So once we get that, then we want to go over to positive reply rate. So anywhere from like 15 to 30% of replies should be positive, right? So anywhere from around 0.3% overall. Okay, so if we can do that, that means we have a good campaign and we can scale that. We should be generating sales opportunities consistently from that campaign. Okay, so that is the 5-step process of creating a go-to-market strategy using outbound, which is the most capital efficient way. Now, guys, if you've gotten to the end of this video, here is our offer. So if you need to generate more pipeline and sales opportunities for your B2B startup, we will build you a scalable go-to-market engine and we will manage it all done for you, generating pipeline for you consistently. And if you want to do this, you can book a call below if you're interested. We are a Clay agency. We are a unified partner as well. And our customers are backed by big players like Y Combinator, TPG, and these big firms. So guys, if you want to work with us, if you want to see if we can potentially help you and work with you, you can hit the link in the description below and call with our team.